Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 18 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're learning how to make Python and Arduino work together. What I'm going to need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your support and your encouragement that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, take a look down in the description. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's talk about what I am going to teach you today. And I'm going to teach you something really, really important. And that is how a client-server relationship works. And you've probably along the way heard of client-server relationships. And a lot of you don't really understand what it means. Well, what I can say is what I've shown you so far is not a client-server relationship when we have Arduino and Python working together. And what I'm going to show you is how to take what we've learned so far and do it in a more proper manner where we have something closer to a more formal client-server relationship. So in order to understand it, let's talk about what we've done so far. One of the first things that I taught you how to do was to take data from Arduino, and you take the data and then you pass it to Python, and then Python does what? It catches it. And so there is no real handshaking or formal interchange between the two. What's happening? Arduino is just sitting there throwing data at Python, and Python is just sitting there grabbing it and then like updating a visual or updating a graph or doing something like that. The other thing that I showed you is I showed you how you could take data from Python, and then Python could it could pass the data, and then Arduino would it would catch it. And so you know how to pass data from Python to Arduino, you know how to pass data from Arduino to Python. But actually we've done some really, really cool things. But that's not really the way you want to do it. And to kind of give you an example of why you have to do things a little bit better than that, in real world applications, a lot of times on the Python side, what you're going to be needing to do, you're going to get this data packet, and then you're going to go out and have to do something. Maybe you're going to have to take that packet and you're going to have to interact with another function, or you're going to have to take that packet and then go get data somewhere else. Maybe go get some data from the web based on what you've done. So you might have to go out and do other things on the Python side. And some of those things for things outside of your control might operate slowly or quickly. You really don't know what the timing is going to be. Well, if you go out in Python and let's say you run out to do something else, while you're out doing that something else on the Python side, what is Arduino doing? It continues to throw data at you. Now, when you send data from the Arduino to Python, it goes into a buffer on the Python side. And then when your program on Python sees data in the buffer, it goes and reads it. And so Python is putting the data in the buffer. Arduino is putting data in the buffer, and then Python is what? Python is reading it out. But if Python goes away and Arduino keeps hammering that buffer, what's going to happen? The buffer is going to get full, and then data starts getting lost because Arduino can't jam any more data into the buffer. So let me give you one example. Let's say that the buffer has room for 4 complete data packets. And let's say Python is busy off doing something else. Arduino sends the first data packet, goes in the buffer. The second data packet goes in the buffer. The third data packet goes in the buffer. The fourth data packet goes in the buffer. The fifth data packet, there's not room for the complete data packet. The buffer doesn't have room for the complete data packet, so it just takes what it can and then it chops it off. So in your buffer now you have a what? You have a partial data packet. So now on the Python side, Python's done doing whatever it had to go away to do. It comes back and it reads a data point. What is the first problem? That data point is stale. That data point was not the latest data point. It was a data point that might have been from a few minutes ago. So all of a sudden, you're getting a stale data point. And now you read 1, you read 2, you read 3, you read 4. For what? For stale data points. And now you read a what? A partial data packet. And if you are expecting to split on a colon and it doesn't include the colon, then it's like your program could crash. And so when you have these programs in the real world where one's just throwing data at the other one and the other one's sucking it in, usually the programs crash and you have all types of difficulty because things that you weren't anticipating happen. Okay, and so that is the problem. Now, in our, when I had the Edge of Space program when I was teaching in a high school, we actually ran into this because Arduino was at the edge of space, 120,000 feet, and the GPS on the Arduino was taking data, and it was passing that data back to Python on the ground, and on the ground, Python was trying to read it in. Then Python had to go look at a map or look something up, and then Arduino kept throwing data. And then when Python came back and read it, it wasn't where the instrument package was then. It was where the instrument package was a couple of minutes ago. And then things started getting out of sync. And then it would read the what? The partial data packet. And then things would crash or things would get messed up or get confused. And so the way I've been showing you things show you how to do the data transfers, but it's not the way that you would really want to set your system up. You want to set your system up with a client-server relationship. And the best way to think about it is McDonald's, okay? When you go into McDonald's, are you the client or are you the server? Well, when you go into McDonald's, well, hopefully most of you don't work at McDonald's, but most of you would be the what? The client, the customer. And so when you go into McDonald's, you tell the person behind the register what you want. The person behind the register is the server, and you are the client. The client says what he wants. The server goes and gets it and hands it to him. So if you say, I want a hamburger, they bring you a hamburger. If you say, I want fries, they bring you fries. You say what you want, you're the client, and then the server goes and gets it and then gives it to you, client server. Okay, so then in this case, how would we configure our Python and our Arduino? Well, Python is going to be the what? Python's going to be the client, and Arduino is going to be what? Arduino is going to be the server. So I'm going to demonstrate this to you with a component that you guys have already worked with, the DHT11 temperature humidity sensor. Why? Because you're already familiar with it. You already have it. It's easy to hook up, and there's two different things it does. And so we can demonstrate this thing where on the Python side, you can ask for a hamburger, or you can ask for fries, right? You can ask for two different things. And then what the Arduino does depends on what you ask for. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. And this has been a painfully long introduction. We need to jump in and get some coding going. We got to get this thing going. But I wanted you to really understand what it was that we were doing. But we're going to jump in here and get busy now. And the first thing I need to just do is I need to remind you of how we hook up the most excellent DHT11 sensor. And you guys should already have this. I need to get further out of your way. You should already have this in your Elegoo kit, or I think there's one also in the most excellent Sunfounder Raspberry Pi kit, but you guys should be able to find one. And it's real simple. There are just 3 wires, and what I want you to see is if the blue plastic is facing towards you, the wire on the left goes to pin 2, that's your data pin. The wire in the middle goes to 5 volts, and the wire on the right, the pin on the right, goes to ground. And so if you face the blue plastic towards yourself, you have left to 2, middle to 5 volts, and right to ground. So that is pretty easy to hook up. And I have, in fact, hooked it up that way. And you can see that here, that left goes to pin 2, center goes to 5, and the right goes to ground. And so we should be set up and ready to go. Now, I got to get this show on the road. I don't want this to be too long of a lesson. So I don't want to develop the temperature and and humidity measurement software from scratch. And so let's go over to the most excellent. Let's go over to the most excellent, www.toptechboy.com. Okay, go to the most excellent, www.toptechboy.com. And then I need you to search on something. I got the wrong one there. Very good. I need you to search on something like using an Arduino with Python lesson 8. That is lesson 8 from this series of lessons. You should be familiar with that. Use this happy little search tool to search on that, and then you will come up with this. And then this has the code to actually make the temperature and humidity sensor work. And so we're going to click the two little page icons to copy that. And now we are going to try to call up the Arduino IDE, and then you can see I've already got this thing open, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it just because I won't, it's going to make me save it in a minute anyway. And let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to save this as, let me make sure I'm in a good spot here. Okay, I'm in Arduino. Okay, and what I'm going to save this as in Arduino, I'm going to just call it temp humidity. Okay, so that's a pretty good name, and then I'll save. All right, now here I am. Now remember, I copied that code from Top Tech Boy, so I'm going to do a Control A, all right, and then a Control V, and now I have the program that should just go out and read temperature and read humidity and then print it. And so let's see if that is actually going to work here. So we will come over here. I need everyone to hold their breath. Yes, yes. Don't give up. Boom. All right. Took a little time. It scared me a little bit there, but okay. Universe is in proper order. I can copy and paste. Now let's see if I got my sensor hooked up right. So I will pop open the serial monitor, and what we see is boom, it's 83 degrees and it's 70% humidity. So you can see that the program's already generating a data packet, and it's sending temperature, comma, humidity. Okay, so that is all good. So we want to kill that. All right, we want to kill that. But now what we want to do is kind of turn this into something more like a client-server relationship. So if we think that the Arduino is McDonald's and we're sitting there working at McDonald's, horrible thought, but let's say that we're sitting there working at McDonald's, what do? We just sit and what? We sit and wait for a client to come in. So the first thing that we need to do in our void loop here is we need to what? We need to wait for a customer. So what I'm going to say is while serial.available equals 0. That means while there's no data, while there is no data, what do I want to do? I want to do absolutely nothing. So I'll have an empty clause there. I have an open and a close. That is an empty clause where I do absolutely nothing. Now a customer comes in and asks for something. What do I need to do? I need to take the order. I need to read the order. I need to read the command. And so I'm going to say my command cmd is equal to serial.readString until, and I want to read string until what? Until I see the carriage return. Okay, now what we got to remember on the Python side, we got to make sure that we're deliberate and mindful to put the carriage return when we send the data over, and then it will read until it sees the carriage return. And we want to deliberately put an end of line on it in Python, and then we want to deliberately look at it on Arduino when we're reading it. Never assume the other guy's giving you the end of line that you're expecting. You've got to do it mindfully, okay? And so now we end that with a semicolon, and now we've got to come up, we've introduced a new variable, and so we want to make sure that we declare that variable. So I'm just going to say CMD is going to be a string, like that. Get the happy little blue color, so that looks good. So now what I do is I should have that command, right? So I know what Python has asked for. Well, what do I need to do? The command would either be temp for temperature or humidity for humidity. So what I need to say is if temp, and we're going to call it temp F. If temp F equal what? No, I'm sorry. If, use our parentheses, if command equal what? Temp F, like that. What do we do? Well, we open our clause, and then what do we do? Well, we read temperature. And I've already got that command down here, so I'll just take that command, I will cut it, and then I will put it in this clause here, okay, like that. And then I need to close the clause. Okay, so if the customer asks for temperature, what do? I measure temperature. And then after I make the hamburger, what do I need to do? I need to throw it back to the customer. And how do I do that? With a print. So here I'm going to do a serial dot println. And then what am I going to print? I am going to print temp F, like that. Okay, I think that looks good. Now it's going to be almost the same for the humidity, so I'm just going to copy this. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paste it. And this time though, I'm going to say if, and I better close that. That was a horror. It doesn't count as a mistake if you catch it before you run it. Okay, so there, close that parenthesis, and then here I am going to have humidity, like that. And then what I would do is I would, instead of read temperature, I would read what? Humidity, like that. And then what would I print? I would print humidity, and then I better read humidity into what? Humidity. Okay, so if the customer asks for temp F, I read temp F, and that should not be, that should just be temp, because that's how the user isn't going to know what your variable is. He's just going to say he wants temp or he wants humidity, like that. Okay, hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. And then we can get rid of all this other nonsense down here. Okay, and then also we can get rid of the delay, because the delay is going to come on the Python side, because nothing's going to come over before Python asks for it. So you want to do the timing from the client, not on the server side. The server is just sitting there waiting for orders. This might actually be ready to run, so we're going to hold our breath. Oh, command does not have a type. What is that nonsense? Command is a string. Ah, that is crazy. That is crazy. Were you guys screaming at me? String is CMD. Okay, hold your breath again. The reason that didn't work is one of you guys didn't hold your breath. This time I need everyone to hold their breath. Oh, yeah. Okay, don't forget the semicolon one more time. Ah, yes, that had me a little concerned. Took a second there. Okay, now tell me what's going to happen when I open the serial monitor. Tell me what's going to happen when I open the serial monitor. Absolutely nothing. Nothing is going to happen, because the Arduino is what? Waiting for commands. It is waiting for commands. It's the guy in McDonald's and there's no customer. Now we can actually, this is going to be coming from Python when we get it working. Okay, but right now I'm just going to send the command from the serial monitor just to see if things work. So if I say here I want temp, what do I get? 83.66, that's temperature in Fahrenheit. Or if I say humidity, it gives me 70% humidity. Now, what is true is that you could do error checking, or you could limit the input, or you could do fancier things with the input, but I'm just sort of showing you how it works. So what do I get? Exactly what I asked for. So I get temp, or I get humidity, like that. Fresh data, complete packets, no problems. And you see, we could wait here. We could sip our coffee, wait 2 or 3 minutes, come back. And when I ask for temp, I'm getting the freshest reading. I'm not getting a reading from 2 minutes ago. Okay, is that pretty cool? Now look, I'm going to show you something else though that could be the problem here. And so we're going to do it a little bit better than I just did it. Like if I said, give me temperature, and you said 73, there's opportunity for confusion. What did your teachers always tell you starting like back in first grade? You should answer what? You should answer incomplete sentences, because this is what could happen. Like imagine that you had a server, and let's say that you had lots of different clients asking for things from all different directions and all different timing. Things can get confused sometimes. And this again is something that happened when we were doing this edge of space work with these instrument packages that we were sending to space. What would happen is I would say send, and this we were measuring pressure, and like pressure is in a unit that goes up to it's pascals, which will go up to like 100,000. And so I would say send me the temperature, and then it would send back 100,000. Why? Because the original temperature request got lost, and it was sending me the previous request, which was for pressure. Okay, so you see there are opportunities in all types of different ways that things get confused. And so what would be a better way of answering? If I say I want temperature, and then you say 83.66, what would be a better way for you to answer? The better way for you to answer would be the temperature is 83.66. And I say, what is the humidity? You say the humidity is, 70%. And if I say, what is the temperature? And then you say the humidity is 70%, then me, the client, says, whoa, something went wrong. I asked for temperature and I got humidity. But if you will mark the data that you're sending over, if anything got confused, then over on the client side, you can throw that data point out or do something else. But if I say, what is the temperature? You say the temperature is 83.66. And so let's see if we can do that. So here what I would do is I would just add another thing in here where I would say like this. Watch this. I'm going to say serial.print. And what am I going to print? I am going to print temp, just temp like that, and a colon, okay, because I'm going to have to split this data later. So I'm going to put a colon in there, and I'll split on the colon. Okay, so I'm just going to do a print. Why not a print line? Because that would put the carriage return on it, and I don't want to put a carriage return when I am not expecting it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so the print ln will put the end on, and I think the Arduino is going to put a /r/n. Okay, so then here what I'm also going to do is I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to say serial.print. Oops, I better do it after I read. After I read, I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to do a serial.print, and I'm going to print what? Humidity, with a colon in the quote in the parentheses, and put my semicolon there, which I forgot up here, but it doesn't count as a mistake if you catch it before you run it. Okay. Let's hope that we didn't make any mistakes there. Let's download this thing, and this is Shazam. Okay, this is painfully slow uploading. I'm not sure why here. Okay, what's it going to do? Absolutely nothing. So now I'm going to say I want the temp, and it says the temp is 82.94. I say I want the humidity, and it says the humidity is 72. Like if I just said hum, it doesn't give me anything back because that wasn't a known command. And so I can do temp again. And then you see I'm saying, what is the temperature? It's saying the temperature is. Does that make sense? Okay, this is how you set up more robust data exchanges. Now, real client-server relationships you could study for years and years and years, but I'm trying to show you the simple concept and enough of a tool that you can actually use it for your own projects to make things much more stable and work a whole lot better. Okay, I think that is good. We have this thing working on the Arduino side. Now we need to go write the matching program over on the Python side. So what we're going to do is we're going to, what do I need to make sure that I do? Kill the serial monitor so I'm not locking up that COM port. All right, I don't want to lock up that COM port. And you guys, the one thing that I should tell you is like what I am on is, if you look at here, I am on COM3, and I need to remember that because I need to know that on the Python side. And you need to look and see you're probably not on COM3, but you're going to need to make sure that you use whatever COM port that you are on over at the Python side, so that Python is getting the data from the same COM port that Arduino is on. And we've talked about that ad nauseum before, so you should already know that kind of stuff. So I need you to fire up your Visual Studio Code, and I am working in my Pi Arduino folder. And what I am going to do in that folder, I'm going to create a new program, and this is going to be pass data. I believe we're up to 14.py, and the .py is kind of important. And what is that? What? Okay, I got to delete that. Sorry. You know, I actually practiced these things, and so I'd already written the program. So then we're going to come up here, and we are going to go plus, and then I'm going to say pass data -14.py, and shazam, fresh new Python program just waiting for you to write it. Okay, so what are we going to need to import here? Well, we are going to be doing, what are we going to be doing? We are going to be talking over the serial port, so I'm going to need to do import serial. And guys, in this lesson, this is a long lesson already, so I'm not going to try to do fancy things in Visual Python. You can do that on your own. I'm just going to import serial, and then I think I am also going to, I probably need to, that might be all I need to import. We'll see when we get errors, all right? So I imported serial now, and remember this is Pi serial, and if you guys have watched the earlier lessons, you know that you got to install Pi serial for this to work. If you don't install Pi serial, this isn't going to work. But now that I've installed Pi serial, what I can do is I can create a data object, which I'm going to call Arduino data. And let me get this nonsense out of the way. Arduino data is equal to input is equal to input. And what do you want to input? Well, you want to input serial. And then what COM port was I on? I was on COM port 3, so I put COM 3. You put what COM port you were on. And then in that program, we had set up the baud rate of 115/200. So this baud rate has to match the baud rate that was set on the Arduino side. Okay, now what are we going to do? We're going to create our main loop. So I'm going to say while true. And when is true true? True is always true. What am I going to do? I'm going to get the command from the user. That's you. So I'm going to say cmd is equal to input, and then what measurement do you want? Okay. And then I should probably put on there, it's just I don't want it to go off the side of the screen like you could prompt it temp or humidity. You could tell it what its choices were. All right. And so now that's going to read it. And then that reads it from the user, but I need to say command is equal to command, and then concatenate onto the end of that. What is Arduino going to be looking for? It's going to be looking for the /r, and make sure you got these slashes going the right way. This is the slash that sits above the enter key, not the other slash. And I don't like to say backslash and forward slash because that could mean different things to different people. So now I have that carriage return that Arduino is going to be looking for. And now what do? I send it to Arduino. So I say Arduino and then data, okay, Arduino data, and that is going to be a .write, Arduino data .write. Is that good? Yeah, I think that's good. And then I need to encode it, so I'm going to say CMD, which is the command that I read in, and then I just got to do an encode like that, open, close, and then close the write. So I'm going to write the string command, and then I'm going to do the encode to get it where it's all prepped up properly to send over. So now once I pass it the command, you're in McDonald's, what do? You placed your order, you do what? You sit and wait. And so what do? I'm going to say while Arduino data dot in waiting, open, close, while that's equals 0. I haven't gotten my order yet. What do? Absolutely nothing. I just sit and I wait like that. Okay. And why did it not like that? Oh, while Arduino data in waiting equals 0. Okay, what do? You just sit and wait. Well, now when you get something, what do you want to do once you get something? You want to read it. So I'm going to read the data packet. Okay, and that's equal to Arduino data dot read line. So I'm going to read the data once it gets there. This is the data packet that's being sent. And now what I need to do is I need to take that data packet, okay, and I need to strip all that nonsense off of it. Now you can go back to the earlier lessons about what this is, but it's going to come over with a /r/n. I got to get rid of all of that nonsense. I got to get rid of the B's and the quotes and all of that. And the way that I do that is I say data packet is equal to, I'm going to make it a string, so str of data packet, and then I've got to tell it to use the UTF-8 format. All right, and this I've gone over before. If you want to understand it, go back and watch the earlier videos or just sit and do what I am showing you here. But data packet is the string value of data packet using the UTF-8 format. And now what I need to do is I've got to get rid of that /r/n that I put on the end of it, or that Arduino puts on the end of it, the carriage return in the new line. And so now I'm going to say data packet is equal to data packet dot strip off, and I want to strip off the what? I want to strip off the /r/n, and then I can end that like that. Okay, I want to strip that off of there. So now I should have a nice clean data packet. Let me just try this right now, print, and I'm going to print what? The data packet like that. Let's just see if we get something here. Print the data packet. Let's see if we got errors or if this thing will actually work. Okay. What is that? I misspelled something. Serial. This was it. Serial like that. Okay, hopefully you guys saw that. Okay, and then in case my head was in the way, that should show you anything that you missed in there. Okay. So now let's run it, and got another error, and let's see what this error is. Line 3, serial dot. I thought I changed that. Okay. I'm not sure what that error was, but let me go ahead and get out of your way. I sure hope I wasn't blocking you a while ago. I know how angry you get. Okay, type error, input expected at most 1 argument, got 2 in line 3. So, oh wow, this is crazy. What did I do there? I have no idea how I got that. That should not at all have an input there. Where did that come from? So Arduino data is serial.serial, and then I did something terribly goofy. I have no idea because I don't think I put an input there, but Arduino data is equal to serial.serial on COM3, and then it is 115,200, okay? And then down here is where I do the input. Okay, that was just really something crazy. I'm not sure where that error came from. Okay, so now what measurement do you want? I'm going to say temp. And then what I get back is temp is 82.76, and then here humidity, and I get back humidity 72. Shazam. Okay, so now that's pretty cool, but now I want the actual number. So now that I've got it, now I've got to kind of do something with it. And so I've got to kind of bust it apart and get it down to useful data. But we really already know how to do that. And so what I am going to do is I am going to do a little bit more processing on it. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to split it. So I'm going to say the split packet is going to be equal to the data packet dot split. And then what do I want to split on? I want to split on the colon, like that. I want to split on the colon. So split packet is the data packet split at the colon. And so now what I do is I should have a split packet element 0 and a split packet element 1. The split packet element 0 should be the what? The string, what it is, and then the split packet 1 should be the what? Should be the number. And so what I can say is if the split packet 0, if that equal what? Temp. If that equal temp, then what do I want to do? If that equal temp, what do I want to do is I want to say print the temperature is, okay, and then comma, and then what? The split packet of 1. Okay. Now, really, that would be a string, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a float so that it's a number and not a string, just because that would be a little bit better form. So I'm using the float value, not the string value of it. And then I will go and put another string here. And already that's behind my head. Okay. And then what I will put here is degrees F, like that. Okay. And now the humidity is going to be almost the same. So then I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to come down here. I try to make the font big where it's easy for you to see, but then sometimes that starts making my life a little harder, that the stuff doesn't show across the screen. So now here in the second one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if split packet of 0 is equal to humidity, then I'm going to say the humidity is float split packet of 1. It's still 1. It's just what is in split packet 1. Well, if split packet 0 was temp, then split packet 1 is going to be the temperature. If split packet 0 was humidity, then the split packet 1 is going to be humidity. Does that make sense? And then here I should say here, percent humidity, like that. Okay, so now let's run this thing and see what happens. Okay, what do I want? I want the temp. And then when I ask for temp, it says the temperature is 82.94 degrees. Who's your huckleberry? I'm your huckleberry. All right, let's look at this. Humidity. Okay. Humidity is 71% humidity. I'm the magic man. Okay. What if I ask for pressure? Then I don't get anything. Okay. I don't get anything. And actually, why did that lock up on me like that? That shouldn't lock up. Oh, probably because it didn't get anything back. Okay, so I would need to say if it's not one of those things, then I need to give it something specific. Okay, I need to give it something specific to do instead of just having it lock up. But I don't want to go in and do the error checking and cleaning those things up because this video is already pretty long. Okay, so I don't want to go in and try to think of all the different possible cases of what people would put in. That will be left as an exercise to you. Okay, so it doesn't do any, oh, I know why. Okay, this is why. If I ask for pressure, then it doesn't send anything back. Okay, if I ask for pressure, that's not an option. And so I'm probably stuck over on the Arduino side because there's not anything for pressure. And so it probably hangs up over on that side. So you got to think about the possibility of what happens if someone doesn't put in a good value. Okay, guys, man, I hope you all have had as much fun in this taking this class as I have had making the class. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is the last lesson in this series because why? I've taught you how to pass data from Arduino to Python. I've taught you how to pass data from Python to Arduino. I've showed you how to do all types of cool things with Visual Python. And now I've showed you how to set up a more formal client-server relationship. Now, there's no need for me to go through all the different components in our kits and show you different things that you can do with it because you have the skills that you need in order to go out and do your own projects now. But I am going to give you a final exam in the class, okay? And so I hope you guys that have made it all the way through this lesson will actually do the final exam. And this is what you got to kind of think is, I show you how to pass data from Arduino to Python, and then I give you homework, and then you pass data from Arduino to Python. Then I show you how to pass from Python to Arduino, give you homework, you pass from Python to Arduino. Then I say, wouldn't it be cool if we made a voltmeter? And then you make a voltmeter. Wouldn't it be cool if we made a thermometer? And you make a thermometer. And then I say, wouldn't it be cool if we made a humidity graphic? You make a humidity graphic. Wouldn't it be cool if we made a 3D game? And you went out and made a 3D game. Okay. So the first level of learning is you do what I do and you get the result that I get. The next level of learning is I give you a very similar and related but slightly different problem, and then you take that skill set and you go out and you use what you learned in order to do on your own what that new assignment was. Okay, so that's what the assignments were. But now the next level of learning is for you to not just do what I ask you to, but for you to go out and do some super cool idea. Well, like I learned this, I have this component, and I could go out and I could do this thing on my own. So I want your final exam to be a project, and I want you to do the project not a 3D Pong game and not a thermometer and not a voltmeter and not a humidity sensor, but use the skills for something new. You can pass data from Arduino to Python, from Python to Arduino, and you can do cool graphics, and you can hook up to sensors, okay? And you can hook up to actuators, and you can do the Visual Python stuff. So that's what your assignment is to go out and take what you've learned and do something really cool. Now, some of you guys are already doing this, and there's been kind of like 3 students that I've had that already are doing that. They think, He taught me this. He taught me this. I could go out and do this really, really cool thing. And you guys, BBF is really, really good at this. And so what you guys can see is some of the stuff he's been doing is radically different than what I'm doing, but it's based on stuff that I taught. Also, Keith did some really cool stuff that he took the artificial intelligence class, and then he made a little robot that would follow a ball around and kind of track a ball, and wherever the ball went, the robot would follow it based on what I taught. He's thinking, okay, he showed me this, he showed me this. Wouldn't it be cool if I did this? Okay. And then also Ian in this class has been doing some really cool stuff that I showed how to have a ball walking, bouncing around in a box. And then what he did was he said, well, I'm going to build different rooms that are interconnected, and then the ball can go all over. And so that's really what I want to see. I want to see you guys go off and do a project based on what I've taught here. And then I want you to post it to YouTube. And then in the comments down below, I want you to link over to your final assignment. And let's see who can come up with the most bodacious project based on the concepts that I have taught you in this class. Does that sound fair? And really, man, it's kind of like that next level of learning, and you really got to get there. You got to get there where you're not just like, this is what your boss tells you to do something and you go do it. Your boss tells you to do something and you go do it. You're always going to be the employee. You want to be the boss. You need to have the idea of, hey, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be great if we did this thing? And you figure out what you should be doing. And that's that next level of learning. And it is that level of operation that allows you to start moving up the management chain in a job. Okay, guys, man, again, I hope you have enjoyed this class. I am really hoping you guys will do the final assignment, the final exam, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to do. Now, what am I going to do with this time slot? This is the Tuesday time slot, I believe, if I'm thinking about it right. After this, what I'm going to do in this time slot, we're going to move to a new class, which is going to be Fusion 360 and 3D printing. Okay, Fusion 360 and 3D printing is going to be the next series of lessons that I'm going to do, and I hope you guys will tune in. Hopefully, most of you guys will have a 3D printer. If you have it, use the one you have. If you don't, I'm going to give information next week about the 3D printer that I'm going to be using. If you use the same one I'm using, it might make certain things a little bit easier, but don't feel bad if you already have one, because you're probably already a little bit more advanced. Fishing boat. Okay. I'm sorry this has been a little bit of a longer lesson, but I thought it was really important and something that we haven't talked about in other classes, and something I wanted to make sure that you understood. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure to leave a comment down below. When you put a comment in the comments, it helps me with the old YouTube juice, and YouTube will offer this video to more people. And then also share this on your social media. So share this on your various social medias. Why? Because the world needs more engineers and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.